What leaves are they crushing up? What roots are they soaking in water to drink that are helping with their digestive disorders or their cardiovascular health or their athletic enhancement? What are they using right now? Because one of the things that we want to do is take what is already happening, and then we want to layer into that. We want to enhance that.
Diener with Holistic Health Associates. This is episode 95 of Frederick Advice Givers, and I appreciate you tuning in this week's episode. I'm thrilled to have with us today Ryan, who started his practice back in '05 and has grown it to 11 practitioners and 8 other admin people. He is doing wonderful things in the health and wellness community in Frederick. His practice is located on West Patrick Street, right near West Frederick Middle School, where I went to middle school, across from China Gardens. So, Ryan, I appreciate you joining us today. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. It's a real gift what you're doing to with the community, and so I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
I am thrilled to finally meet up with you. We've got some mutual friends. I've heard great things about you, so I'm thrilled to have you on Frederick Advice Givers today. But before we talk about you professionally, Ryan, in a few minutes, give me your backstory. Where did you grow up? What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? And what did you do before Holistic Health?
Sure. So I grew up in Baltimore County, lived there my whole life. Whole family is in the area, big 45-person Thanksgivings over there. And so went to elementary school, middle school, high school in Baltimore. Played a lot of sports when I was younger. Still love to play sports and exercise. Went to University of Maryland, so was over here with Kevin Plank of Under Armour. I was coming in just as he was leaving, and just enjoyed my college career over at Maryland. Was a pre-med major, but I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with it. There was something about going into the medical field that wasn't quite catching me, and I think it was because I grew up with an aunt, my father's sister, who was really into some alternative things growing up. And growing up, I was introduced to things like meditation and astrology and some other things that really just kind of opened my mind in a different way. And so I got to the end of college, and I just really was questioning what I was going to do. I did some internships with physical therapists and chiropractors and podiatrists and doctors, and nothing really grabbed me. And I read a book on acupuncture cover to cover in 2 days, and I just completely fell in love with it. And I signed up to go to acupuncture school before I had ever had a session. I just knew that it was the thing for me. Got there, and I had a pretty tough skin condition that I had been fighting. Been going to dermatologists for years, trying all kinds of creams, hydrocortisone creams. It would work for a while, and then it would come back. I went to this old Chinese guy that became one of my favorite teachers in school, and I was his patient for 2 months. I was getting acupuncture twice a week. I was drinking this herbal formula that tasted like mud water. And by the end of those 2 months, it was like I had never had it. And at that point, I was all in. Not that I wasn't already, but I was there.
So this is after college? After University of Maryland, Kevin Plank?
That's right. So after University of Maryland, I actually traveled for about a year. I lived in Spain for a year, and then I came back. I've been working in the restaurant industry since I was 15, and just trying to make money on the side. And so I went out to Spain thinking I was going to teach English, but I knew no Spanish, so that didn't work out very well. And the restaurant history really helped. I bartended in Spain for a year. But the whole time I knew I wanted to come back and go to acupuncture school. And so once I came back, I decided to go to graduate school for acupuncture. It's a master's program, 4-year program. And so I started that right after I got back from Spain.
All right, Ryan. So give us that journey. How do you go from acupuncture school to opening Holistic Health in Frederick?
Well, it's actually very challenging to come out of a graduate program in a field where there really aren't any jobs. And so many people who are in the health and wellness space will kind of relate to what I'm talking about, where you go, you get trained in a very particular skill. All you really want to do is help people as best you can. and then you get out and you really have to start your own business. And it is challenging. You have to really dig in and work hard.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you have to really dig in and work hard and figure out how you're going to do both. And so when I came back from acupuncture school, college, I was with a friend of mine who was living in Virginia at the time. We drove all around the area, through Route 70, 270, tried to find the right space. Drove through. He said, why don't we go up to Frederick? And I said, he twisted my arm. I really wasn't interested in coming up here. And he got me here, and I tell you what, I drove through downtown, and I just fell in love with the town, and I said, that's where I want to start the practice. So I called up a couple of places. I had office space within 2 or 3 phone calls. Luckily, with who turned out to be my co-founder at Holistic Health, Denise Ordonio, and she and I were renting a room right next to each other, and over on 3rd Street. We started practicing there for a couple of years. We started trying to tinker around with sharing a receptionist. We tried sharing a little bit of marketing. We just were a good fit to really test the waters a little bit and do something that a lot of people aren't doing, which is to start a practice where people in our field could be employed. There just wasn't any of this that existed, and it's a real passion of mine to create opportunities for people in the health and wellness space to go have a job, do what they really are trained in doing, help the community, help the individuals get healthier and energized, and elevate that health and really live fantastic lives.
Well, you and Denise are doing good things because in my experience, most practitioners know how to practice, but they don't know how to run a business. And for you guys to have gone from the 2 of you, then 1 receptionist, then sharing some marketing, to having 11 practitioners and 8 admin supports people, that's pretty impressive, man. So good for you and Denise.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. It's someone told me a long time ago that, if you're afraid of risk and you're afraid of growing, you're never going to do it. So sometimes we've hired people when we had no business hiring them based on our budget. And we have, moved into spaces that we had no business moving into before, based on our budget. And, it's kind of that old Field of Dreams story. If you build it, they will come. And that's really been a real gift for us.
So have you always been a hustler, man? Were you like selling baseball cards at the age of 6? Because I mean, you have the entrepreneurial spirit. You don't have the practitioner spirit.
It's funny, there's a misconception. It's not a misconception, but I think there is kind of an expectation that people who are in the health and wellness space need to be really reserved and can't be very active and have to rest all the time, and and believe, there's a part of me that has that too. I practice meditation daily. I practice yoga very frequently, and those things are really fantastic practices. But I think I think there's another side of the human spirit, which is this kind of evolutionary, kind of exciting, energized side, and I want to be able to experience both, and I want everybody to be able to experience both. I don't think we should settle for, we're health and wellness practitioners, so we have to be calm and reserved all the time. And, if you're a salesperson, you have to be kind of high energy and go all the time. I think it's important to be able to get into the space of your life where you can experience all aspects of who you are. And so to get back to your original question, which was about being a hustler, I have been selling baseball cards since I was very young. I played a lot of cards in high school that got us by. I wouldn't admit this to too many places, but our high school was on a television show. I can't even remember the name of it right now, that did a piece because we were actually gambling in high school, and it wasn't for a lot of money, but it's just we were playing cards, and that was a part-time job for me for a little while. And then it was restaurants. I started working in restaurants when I was 15. I used to take 10 extra bucks to do everybody else's side work, and get out of there 15, 20 minutes later. It was fine with me, and that was it's always just been who I am. My dad has an amazing work ethic. I mean, he used to come home from work at 8 o'clock at night. We'd wait for him to have dinner, and he left the house at 7 in the morning. He'd be home at 8 o'clock at night, and it was like he was on cloud nine all the time. He was the happiest guy you could imagine, and it just showed me at a very young age that hard work doesn't equal pain. It equals a lot of success, and it equals a lot of benefit if you look at it that way. And it's all about your perspective.
Yeah, and you and I talked a little bit in the pre-interview that we have similar backgrounds, and I think I got my work ethic from my parents too.
Yeah.
And then my boys see Anthony and Alex, see how hard my wife and I both work to provide for them. But not only is it's not really work. Both my wife and I love what we do, so we get to enjoy the fruits of our labor. But our boys don't see it like. We don't come home and complain, oh, I had to work 12 hours today, or I had to do this, had to do that. We bring joy from our work into our life. So, yeah, I think you and I have very similar backgrounds.
It's beautiful.
All right, Ryan, so the next section I call Minute to Win It. There's 3 questions, take about a minute each. What's been your biggest challenge while growing holistic health?
Well, I think my biggest challenge is probably patience. And I mean, I guess a little bit about, you can kind of glean that from a little bit about from the hustler context that you were talking about. And it also kind of sounds funny being that, I'm spending time meditating and doing yoga and doing some of these things and really kind of slowing my mind down a lot. But I think that we have such an amazing potential and an opportunity to have an impact on the healthcare system if enough of us get together and really are able to share these kinds of gifts with the community and with the community at large. There's so much that we can do. And so the vision of our center is just, it's a daily reminder of how far I want to go and how far we want to be able to take filling this gap in the healthcare system. And so, I'm well known in the administrative team to be, putting a list of things out that we should be doing and wondering why they're not happening yesterday. And, so we laugh about that all the time, but I got a great team of people and we just keep adding people because we just feel like we have so much more we can give.
Very cool. So second question, pretend we're in a time machine and go back to right before you started your practice. I guess we call it a practice, right?
We do. Yep.
Cool? Okay.
Yep.
Knowing what you know now, what is one piece of advice that you would give your former self?
I think, and I'm still working on this. I think letting go of things faster that aren't working, those of us that just don't like to fail and we like to we pick something and we go with it. We just want to see it through and we want, we see the possibilities in everything rather than the problems. That's just kind of the nature of the health and wellness space. And so I think if I could tell something to my former self, that's what it would be. It would be just don't be afraid to let go of things if they're not working, and it's not gonna. In the end, it's gonna save you a lot of time, and that would affect how much my patience is not tested.
No, I get it, man. I get it, and man, you really seem to be an entrepreneur, man. I mean, that's one of our faults is that. We come up with something and we want to just make sure we push and push and push until it succeeds, and we wait too long,
Sure.
All right, Ryan. So take me to a time when you thought, wow, I'm making a difference. Tell me that story.
Okay, sure. So there's so many examples that I could give. We've had so many fantastic stories of people who have been touched by what we do, who have, helped us, cried, hugged us. But the first time that it really hit me was when a practitioner in town who had been working for 20 years called me up and said that she wanted to come work for us. And we didn't really have a lot of employees at that time. And I kind of was taken aback. And she said, you guys have the reputation of getting results with people and, giving the highest quality care with a lot of integrity. And we had been incorporated for 3 years at that point, and all I saw were holes. And, it woke me up to the potential that we had. Since with all these holes in the business, we were still doing amazing work. And that was just an example of that just kind of took me back and really hit me in a way that it was different than a patient who says, wow, you've changed my life. And we've had tons of those, believe me. But this was just a different situation that hit me in a different way.
Awesome. All right, so this next section, I want you to dig a little bit deeper and tell us this about your, kind of your practice in whole. I want you to take our listeners on a mental journey with you. Imagine that you were dropped off on a desert island and the natives have no idea what holistic health does, and you need to tell them the benefits of working with you in your practice.
Okay, so great. So as if holistic health and acupuncture and massage aren't weird enough, now we have to teach some natives why this is.
Heck, they might already know it better than you.
They most likely do, and that's actually it clued me in on. I did think of that as you were talking about it. I'll tell you, the first thing that I think we would need to do is to learn their language. And one of the things that I think as holistic health practitioners, people don't realize is that we really need to know what it is that makes you tick, right? We need to know what drives you. What are your joys? What do you like? What do you like to eat? What do you like to do? What makes you happy? In addition to what it is that we want to help you feel better, we want to clear your pain or we want to help your autoimmune condition. But we need to know kind of what it is that makes you tick. And so I would ask this tribe to teach me their language first. And I would want to talk to them in their own language, because I think that not only kind of opens the door to a different level of emotional connection, but I think it gives it creates trust. It creates a connection between the practitioner and the patient that doesn't exist if you just go in and tell somebody what they should be doing. Health and wellness, it's not some big secret. You can go on the internet and figure out what diet you should eat. You can go figure out what exercise program you should do. You can figure out how to reduce your stress. Those things are not that challenging. But for some reason, we have these kinds of blocks that we need to break free of. And why do we have them? It could be our past, not letting go of our past. It could be kind of focusing too much on the future. It could be that, you have a genetic predisposition to something. It could be that you have a certain sensitivity to a food that's creating a pain. It could be an old injury that created a pain. There's so many things that we need to dig in and really get to the root of. So we want to create that trust where we can get into that relationship so that we can delve in, and it's more than just looking on the internet for the best, and they don't have the internet on this island, I'm sure, but more than looking on the internet for this, the best new exercise program, The next thing that I think we would do is ask them what herbs and foods they're using now. What are the things that are working for them now? What leaves are they crushing up? What roots are they soaking in water to drink that are helping with their digestive disorders or their cardiovascular health or their athletic enhancement? What are they using right now? Because one of the things that we want to do is take what is already happening, and then we want to layer into that. We want to enhance that. And then the good things are going to crowd out the bad things, right? So if we're bringing in an additional layer of herbs, an additional layer of nutritional advice, and needle, handwork that's going to help to break something up, we want to know what's already worked for you in the past and why isn't it working now? What can we do to help get to that? So, and so then, once we've established that basis for the relationship, then and we've started to kind of work on some of these things, then the question is, why would they use us? Why would they trust us for some of these things? And so in order to get trust around some of these things, you need to have multiple tools. Right. So they have tools that have already worked for them. For some reason, there's certain people in the tribe that things are not working for. Right. We have existing tools. We just don't have maybe enough. And so we want to bring in some more tools. When you build a house, you don't just use a hammer. Right. You use multiple tools. So, if your tools are limited, then you're not going to have the reach that you will if you have multiple tools. And you can really refine the way that your exterior of your house looks versus your interior. And you can screw in a hinge versus trying to hammer something in and then not having it work, right? So we want to be able to provide more tools. And so how does that work? I wonder, if the listeners know that when antibiotics were invented, right? So right now, the health field is really built around antibiotics, and it's a fantastic invention, right? It's a beautiful invention. The ability to be able to kill a bacterial infection in days, if not hours, is just changed the world. It's absolutely astronomical. How old do you think antibiotics are? Do you have any idea?
Within the last 100 years.
That's right. 1929, they were invented. 1940s is when they were able to, distill the fermentation process for large scale production. And that's when antibiotics kind of took over the medical field. So you're talking about literally 75 years. Acupuncture and Chinese medicine and massage therapy are 3,000 plus years old. So there are so many different tools that you have in that time frame. And so whether we're going to pick something from that they used in the 1400s, or whether we're going to pick a technique that they used in the 1700s, or whether we're going to try dry needling on somebody, or whether we're going to be able to do acupuncture for emotional issues, which is a more modern style, to be able to have all those tools is what allows us to be successful, because we can start with you and you might not be responding, and I can pivot and go to a completely different style because we've had this level of training, this multiple year level of training that gives us the ability to really not limit what we can help, how we can help the individual, how we can customize an herbal formula, how we can try a different acupuncture technique or massage technique, or suggest something different than just one particular diet that seems to be the fad at the moment. We want to be able to use multiple tools, multiple possibilities to really help those islanders to take it to the next level.
So you work in concert with Eastern medicine too?
Yeah, so Eastern medicine, acupuncture and herbal therapy, at least the way that we practice it, are from the Eastern perspective. That's where when you go to graduate school for Chinese medicine, that is the Eastern medicine perspective. We also carry a full line of vitamins and supplements. So there's a lot of training that has happened since then that I and many of the other practitioners have worked on, that has given us the ability to be able to say, okay, well, if the herbs either aren't working or if you're not comfortable with those for whatever reason, we can go with vitamins and supplements, and it's no problem whatsoever. And so then, the supplementation world is completely unregulated, as many of the listeners who've heard health and wellness speakers talk about before know. It's quite a mess. And so, if that space is a mess, how do you decide when you go to the grocery store that this multivitamin that's sitting next to the shelf with this multivitamin is the better one to choose? Usually people just go with the cheapest one, but there's a huge range of effectiveness when it comes to supplementation. And so, having a trusted advisor when it comes to picking what supplements you should be taking and why. Are you an athlete? Do you have an autoimmune condition? Do you have, bone density issues in the family? Do you have a history of cancer in the family? We can help to tailor a formula for you and a group of supplements for you that can start with now being able to not only work on some conditions, but also prevent things that might run in your family.
Very cool. So you're not totally anti-antibiotics, are you?
Oh, not at all. No, I mean, okay. Antibiotics are, like I said, I think it's one of the most amazing inventions that has ever hit the medical world. I mean, it has saved more lives than anything out there. Chinese medicine has been around for 3,000 years. Antibiotics has saved more lives in 75 years than Chinese medicine has in 3,000, I'm sure. So this isn't about an either or situation.
Gotcha.
We work with doctors all the time. We get referrals from fertility doctors, from pain management clinics, from gastroenterologists, from pulmonary specialists, from cardiovascular practitioners. We work with doctors all the time. We have a long list of practitioners. And that's one of the other things that I think we can really help with, is to guide you on the right path. It may not be that what we do helps you as much as you want, but we have a list of people that we can send you to that are the top of their field in the area. We are more than happy to work with doctors, work with chiropractors, work with other practitioners. Our goal is to get the patient to the best place that they can be. to energize their health, to elevate their health, to energize their lifestyle. We want you to feel like this is just an amazing gift to be alive.
Awesome, Ryan. I appreciate that. All right, so one last question, I guess actually two before we wrap. Think of an internet resource or an app like Google Calendar or Voxer that you could not do without. What is it?
I love Evernote. I don't know, it's one of my favorites. I mean, I have lists after lists upon lists. And one of the things about having lists is that you have to prioritize them or they don't actually happen, or at least they're not fulfilling, right? You can cross things off a list, you get a little serotonin hit. But what's really helpful is if you get priority items off your list. And so I use Evernote in a variety of ways. I keep notes about what I need to do for business, what I need to do on the personal side. I've got a list of gifts that my wife likes because I can't remember them all. I hope she's not listening to this at the moment. I got a list of things that my staff likes. I have a list of restaurants in different cities I've been to that I like. I mean, I just keep everything in there. You can take pictures of, snapshots off the internet, or a picture of a sign, load it right up onto your Evernote file. So I love that one. And I also love Audible because finding time to read nowadays is so hard. And I got a 1,000-page book I'm listening to that is going faster than the 300-page book I'm reading. I always read one and listen to one at the same time. Right. So that's two apps for you anyway, Evernote and Audible.
Cool. Well, that leads into the next question. Leave our audience with a parting shot. What is a book you've read or a quote that you live by that has helped mold you?
That's great. There's so many. I'll give you. There's a quote by a guy who's a philosopher, a modern day philosopher. He's still alive today. His name's Ken Wilber, and the quote is that is waking up to your true self is the process of making the unconscious conscious. And what I love about that is that, what you're waking up to is the things that we avoid, the things that we are afraid of, the things that we just don't want to see or that we're not able to see. And to have the intention of really being able to shed more light on your life and not be afraid of the things that are scary or that you think are strange or that you think are different or that you think are embarrassing. And to just go for it and just live your life and love it. I mean, I've learned more from trying to think about what I don't know than I have from telling people what I already do know.
Very cool. Ryan, dude, I appreciate you joining us today, man. You are a bundle of energy. I learned a lot. So tell our listeners how they will get a hold of you, find you, websites, all that kind of fun stuff.
Sure. So our website is www.HHAMD, Holistic Health Associates Maryland, HHAMD.com. Phone number at our office where you will talk to one of our amazing administrative team is 301-620-1414. Give us a call there. We will check your insurance benefits before you even walk in the door. You do not have to even come in for an appointment to find out if you get coverage for acupuncture. You do have to come in to get massage because we have to be able to touch you. But, at least we can get you a quote and find out if you do have insurance coverage before you even come in the door. 301-620-1414. You can also go to our Facebook page, of course, Holistic Health Associates on Facebook, or HHA 315 on Instagram.
Beautiful. Ryan, thank you for joining us today. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed Ryan's interview as much as I did. I was Ryan Diener with Holistic Health, episode 95 of Frederick Advice Givers, and we are out.